you'll notice that if you click this big G here, this button, nothing happens. You see this? And you also get that ugly outline around it. I really don't like that outline. So to fix this, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to head into my CSS. I'm going to say I want all buttons to have a cursor pointer. What cursor pointer does is it says whenever you hover over that thing, look like you can click on it. And you'll see that it turns into a pointer. I like that from most buttons, so I usually have this for the buttons. That is a cursor pointer on it. I also want to say when you focus on that button, I don't want that outline to exist. Outline, none. Important. I don't want that outline. So when I click on this button, it shouldn't outline itself. It should just click. That looks way nicer to me. So I usually implement these two things for pretty much every button early on. I want the button, the cursor, when you hover over it, to be a little pointer, a little finger pointery thingy. And when you focus on the button, when you click it, I don't want that blue outline around it. So I say outline none. Get rid of that outline. And just those two things add to the UI, the user interface, a lot. It makes things much more intuitive, in my opinion. And so what we want to happen when we click that button is we want the user to be brought to a pop-up screen that says, hey, I'd like to authenticate with Google. Is that okay with you? And then the user either says yes or no, and they choose an account, and then it goes to Firebase, and Firebase is like, cool, I got authentication from Google that this person is good to go and they are who they say they are, and then it logs them into your app. Cool? That's what we're going to do in this video. So to do that, we need to write a little bit of JavaScript. We need to have somebody click on this Google button, and we need it to run a function that logs them into Google. So I'm going to give this button an ID equals Google-auth. So when someone clicks this button, I want this button with an ID of Google auth to start the authentication process for Google. Now, if I do that right now, I still haven't told this button that when I click on it, something should happen. I need to do what's known as create an event listener to listen to a click on that button. And so when that click happens, we execute the login process. Sort of like that. Yeah, it's very similar. If you guys remember last year when we did the taco selector lab, exactly. It's going to be the click event listener. And we're going to set that up right now. And so to do that, we're going to go into our script.js. And we're going to say var Google button. And you know what? I'm not going to use var anymore. I'm going to use const in the future, because I like writing with const a lot more, const and let, which are the same thing as var, but I've been using them pretty interchangeably. I'm going to switch to mostly using const and let for these videos. So I'm going to say const Google button is equal to document.querySelector, and then I called it hashtag Google auth, because it has an ID of Google auth. I'm then going to say Google button dot add event listener, and I'm going to listen for a click. And when that click happens, I am going to run a function. Right now, all I'm going to have that function do is I'm going to have it console.log ready to authenticate, just so we can make sure that it is working. And I want you to save that file. Once you've done that, once you've written this code here, I want you to go into your preview, open up your inspect element, your developer's console, and I want you to click the button and see if this gets console.logged. If it does, you've done it correctly. If it doesn't, I need to help you make it work. So open up your preview, open up your inspect element, refresh. It should say connected, and then I want you to click on that G. And it should say ready to authenticate. If it does that, and you click and it keeps saying ready to authenticate, you did it correctly. And now that you've done that, you're ready to log the user in. Now to log the user in, we need to log them in with Google. And Firebase will tell us exactly how to do that. If I go to Firebase, you will see a button up there that says Go to Docs. Does everybody see that button that says Go to Docs? Hold down Command and press Go to Docs, and it should open it up in a new tab. The docs here, or the documentation, will help you do all the things you need to do to make Firebase work. It'll tell you how to do them. And if you're in the Get Started for Web one, which we are in, you will be able to add Firebase to your project, which we've already done, but we want to authenticate with Google. And so the Google sign-in works like this. It'll tell you exactly how to do it. It'll give you all the code for it. It'll tell you everything you need. And so I'm going to come down here, and I'm just going to copy this. It says var provider equals new firebase.auth.google provider. I'm going to copy basically that, and I'm going to put it down here. Except I'm going to change this to const. Then I'm going to go back to the docs and see what it tells me to do next. It tells you to add a scope, which is optional. Don't worry about that for now. It tells you to do some other stuff, which is optional. Don't worry about that for now. This is what we actually need. Firebase.auth.sign in with pop-up and pass in the provider. So I'm going to grab this function right here. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to put it directly below this section right here. Now I'm going to change all of these to const because I like using const more. And I'm going to do console.log either the error. I'm going to say console.log error and then console.log the error. Or if it works correctly, I'm going to console.log the user. Now I'm going to put all this in Slack so you have it really quickly, and then we're going to see if it works. You ready? So I've just thrown a bunch of code on the page. I haven't told you what it does yet or why it does what it does. We're going to go over that in the next video, but for now let's just make sure it works. Now I'm going to get an error. I know what my error is going to be. It's okay. Don't worry. Don't freak out about your errors. They are bound to happen. I'm going to click refresh. And you will see I have this Firebase is not defined error. Does everybody see that? And what it means is that we need to put our Firebase information in our index.html so that our index.html page knows how to connect to Firebase. The cool thing is that this will already tell us how to do it. At the very beginning, it says introduction or set up and manage a project. And it'll tell you how to bring Firebase into your application. It'll give you all those details right here, but essentially all you need to do is go to the thing that says Web Setup in Firebase. See this thing where it says Web Setup? At the top right of your Firebase? It'll tell you all the stuff you need to do. Just copy paste this right here. Copy all of this, exactly what it has right there. Or you can just click the copy button if you're way fancier. And I want you to put it right below the style sheet right here. So hit enter and then paste it in right there. In the index.html. Right below your script, you're going to add all this Firebase information. And this is all the API key, the auth domain, all the stuff that will make your app connect to Firebase. And if you save that, and you refresh this page, it should no longer give you the Firebase is not defined error. Oh, there we go. It says, auth, pop-up blocked, unable to establish a connection with the pop-up. It may have been blocked by the browser. Oh no, that's okay. Don't worry, we get an error. All of that is fine. Click refresh. Everything's okay. Why is that function running right away? Let me see. Oh, because this is not supposed to happen right away. We're supposed to put all of this inside a function. That's my bad. Function, log, or authenticate with Google. And to put all this information inside this function. All that login stuff is supposed to go inside a function, so it only runs when we want it to. And so then whenever we click this Google button, we want it to run the authenticate with Google function, just like that. So only when you click that button should it try to log in with Google. That's why I placed all the code we just wrote, or all the code we grabbed from the Firebase documentation, and put it inside this function called authenticate with Google, because we only want to log them into Google when we click the button. And so this function only runs when the Google button is clicked. Then it runs the function. Otherwise, it tries to log them in right away, and something will get messed up. Now, we're still going to get an error here when we do that. And you'll see when you click this, it should say ready to authenticate, and then it'll give us an error. But you saw that pop-up screen happen really quickly. Did you see that? It flashes really quickly, but it says this domain, preview.c9users.io, is not authorized. And it'll tell you what you need to do. Go to the console auth section, sign in method tab, and add preview.c9users.io to that tab like this. And all it's saying is go here, go to sign in method, and at the very bottom, add this as an authorized domain. Preview.c9users.io. Follow the error exactly like it tells you. And it'll tell you to enter this domain into your Firebase console and click add. Well, you should go to the top where it says sign in method, and then scroll down to where it says authorized domains, and one's preview.c9users.io, and you should add that domain. And once you do that, you should actually be able to log in with Google. And from here on out, we're ready to go. So if I refresh this, and I click this button, bam, it gives me the Google login page, and I'm now ready to authenticate with Google, and I can choose my account to sign in. Now, I'm not going to go any further than this for right now, because there's so much more to this, and I just went over so much stuff and didn't even explain it to you. But all the things we just did are everything we need to set up to allow users to sign into our application, which is super cool. Because I don't think you've ever built an app with authentication processes before. So this is a big step for everyone who's just becoming a developer and wants to build real-world apps. We just did it together. Now, that was a lot. I know you all follow along with me. Don't trip. We're going to go over all of this next week when we come back together. Is that cool? Nice work today. You can save your stuff. I will put all of these videos on YouTube. If you need anything from me, let me know. Cool? Name the domain is c9. It'll tell you at the bottom, c9.users.io.